Well, it appears that Hamas is agreeing to some of these terms that Donald Trump has laid out in his peace plan, but not all of them. Now, Hamas says it accepts some elements of Trump's peace plan, but one of those that it does accept is the release of all occupation prisoners, both living and remains of the deceased, in accordance with the exchange formula set forth in President Trump's proposal, provided that appropriate field conditions are ensured for the exchange process. That's a direct quote from the statements that Hamas handed to mediators. Hamas has also agreed to, quote, hand over the administration of the Gaza Strip to a Palestinian body. Now, that in itself is different from the proposal that Donald Trump had laid out. Remember, Donald Trump wanted to have a committee which was overseen by the so-called Board of Peace, which would have various members of it, including a Palestinian representative. But it was going to be made up of international actors, including Donald Trump himself, who would have been the head of the board. And it was believed that the right-hand person who would have overseen more day-to-day running of the administration of Gaza would have been Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, and somebody who has served as a peace envoy in that part of the world before. So that, therefore, is going to be different and could indeed be a red line for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course, has railed against the Palestinian Authority, as has Israel, and part of the plan that Donald Trump put forward was that the Palestinian Authority would have to reform itself as part of this peace deal. But it appears that Hamas still has that as one of the things that needs to be worked out. Now, this comes, of course, just hours after Donald Trump applied a lot of pressure to Hamas. He, a couple of days ago, had said that they had 3 or 4 days to agree to this peace deal. And then earlier on Friday, took to Truth Social, his social media platform, and said an agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. So that's about midnight Paris time, or 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning in that part of the world. He said every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell like no one has ever seen before will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East one way or the other. So it appears here that Hamas really trying to strike some kind of a halfway house in some ways, trying to release the hostages that are remaining, but saying that it's not fully accepting all of the terms that Donald Trump has laid out.
Fraser, nonetheless, this is a landmark statement from the Palestinian militants. At no point since October 7th, 2023, have we had them saying that they were prepared to release all the remaining Israeli hostages, both dead and alive. How is this news likely to be met both in Israel and in Washington?
It's certainly significant. Up until this point, Hamas has been loath to give up the majority of its hostages that it has taken for well over 2 years now, because it thought that that would be a massive loss of leverage in the eyes of the militant group. But indeed, this is a significant turning point. This has been one of the key demands of both Donald Trump and Netanyahu, that all of the hostages are released, even those that have sadly died whilst in captivity. So Donald Trump will definitely try to use this to point score and say that his pressure campaign has been working. But it remains to be seen whether the fact that Hamas is not fully committed to the rest of this deal, whether that will anger Donald Trump and whether that will be enough for Hamas to escape that hell that Donald Trump promised would be unleashed upon them if they didn't agree to this deal. Of course, it could be something of a halfway house that Hamas is trying to evade the ire and the wrath of Donald Trump and Netanyahu, but whether that's enough, we will wait and see.
So a deal not yet cast in stone, but nonetheless, it does feel like there has been a major developing breakthrough tonight. Fraser Jackson, thank you so much for providing your analysis there of the situation as things stand.